Hello. Welcome. I'm just getting things set up, so bear with me here. Okay, that's good. And I'm just going to turn this off for now. Hello, welcome. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Artemis, and I did a couple of videos about my 5090 Vanguard, and basically talking about my early impressions, going over brief performance and temperatures. Now, I did all of this on a standalone PC, meaning that the one PC is streaming in 4K as well as doing those benchmarks and performing in gameplay and stuff. So the results aren't really a true image of what it can do, because there's a performance hit with doing it from a one PC. In a few days, I am getting the capture card. It should arrive in 2 days, and I have my streaming PC, which is essentially my older PC from that I built 3 years ago. That's going to become my streaming PC with the 4090, and the 5090 with my gaming rig. But when I get this capture card, I'm going to reconfigure everything so that anytime I do these type of videos, I'll be able to show you what the actual true performance is. But today, I thought I would discuss the settings that I have kind of settled with for now for the 5090 Vanguard. So the Vanguard itself, stock, is phenomenal. Like performance-wise and cooling-wise, it's one of the best cards I've ever seen for cooling. Like, it's maxed out 570 watts to the GPU, gaming for an extended period. You'll see. I've seen a peak temperature for the GPU of around 70, maybe 72, which is phenomenal. And the memory temps, which is more important, is 75, 76, which is incredible. You compare that to the Founders peaking at 95 degrees. That's incredible. But that's stock settings. Once you do an undervolt and an overclock towards what I have now, those temperatures dramatically decrease. So basically, I was able to get a little bit better performance and way less power target and way better temps. So when I'm gaming now, the GPU is usually in the 50s, and the memory temps are usually in the low 60s. Personally, I started PC gaming like 4 years ago. I've never, ever gamed on a card where I'm looking at the temps and seeing 50 degrees. Like, that's incredible for an air-cooled card. And I've always seen previous gens, like people on YouTube gaming with cards with built-in AIOs, and I'm looking at the temps. I was always so envious. But for me to install one of those things, I can do it, but it just takes away from the overall aesthetic. Like, I was looking at the Supreme, and it's funny enough, an odd story. When I got this card, the Vanguard, it was January 31st. What happened was, it was just by luck. I was on the Best Buy website looking, and I seen the cards instantly go live for the MSI models. I panicked, and I ordered the 5090 Supreme, the liquid cooled card, because I just wanted to secure something. So, and I got it. And then I was like, okay. And then I realized the Vanguard's there and it's available. But I knew if I try to get the Vanguard, it won't go through, because they had like a 1 GPU per customer. So I had to take a big risk, a big gamble. And that was, in order for me to get the Vanguard, and the Vanguard is the one I wanted. Like, that was that or the Aurora Master. But I was kind of more leaning that I wanted the Vanguard. That was my first pick. But we with these launches, you usually don't get what you want. It's what you can get. So I did. I ended up canceling the Supreme Liquid and ended up securing the Vanguard. And it was funny, man. I was so lucky, because the minute I had it in my cart, like when I ordered the Liquid Supreme, the site was okay. People weren't noticing yet. And I was just by fluke a chance I seen the site go live with them. But when I had the Vanguard and I put it in the cart and I had to process, I noticed the site starting to slow down. And then I seen a warning saying there's only 5 cards left, and that's for the whole country of Canada. And I was able, thank God, to get it through and processed. And by the time I refreshed that website after it said your order processed or we got your order, boom, it was sold out. So I was very lucky. But anyways, with those liquid cards, that's the only time I've ever seen temperatures like that. Usually gaming, I'm used to seeing 70s, and sometimes you're lucky to get 70s. Like I remember on a 30 series, my 3090, I had to do like a custom undervolt curve and a fan curve just to get the temperatures to like mid 70s, 75, 77, my old EVGA card. And yeah, it's incredible. The 40 series was way more efficient, and the cooler on that one of my 4090 was better. But this is the best thing I've ever seen. Like now I'm gaming, temperatures at 50s, memory temps spiking and hitting a peak of just like 60 degrees, 62 degrees. Like it's incredible. But anywho, I'm rambling here. So first, we will open up, we'll do a game. I'm going to do Star Wars Outlaws. And the reason why I'm picking Star Wars Outlaws because it's so power hungry. Like, even like compared to Cyberpunk and stuff, Cyberpunk is not as power hungry as Star Wars Outlaws. And I'm going to show you some 3D marks that I had done. So let's just go here first. So 3D mark. Do I have a favorite here? 3D mark. Sorry. Here we go. I'm going to have to log in through... okay, perfect. Save. And I'm going to add this to a favorite. 3D mark. All right, done. Okay, so we are looking back at our history here, and I got the card last Thursday, and I've did a lot of benchmarking. So where are we at here? Okay, so this is my first 5090 score, which is 36102. That's stock. These numbers here, I lose 5,000 points. That's when I'm streaming. So you lose 5,000 points because of the encoding and me streaming in 4K. And then these other ones are basically just regular stock. And then these two here, my highest ones. Oh, what's these ones? These are extreme, yeah. These ones here, my highest ones, this is my undervolt. And I will show you that here now. So I had one individual ask on, I made a comment on the video, asked if I could do a video of how I undervolt it. Now, listen, there's a lot more knowledgeable people on YouTube than me to be able to do this, to be able to show you how to undervolt your card professionally. I'm not that person. I'm just trial and error, and this is what I've done. So if you're going to do this with your equipment, don't use me. You can use me as a resource, yes, but also do some research, because there's other people out there that have way more knowledge and way more experience with this. But basically what I do is this, and I don't have to show you this test. Basically, you put your card back to stock levels. So I just did it there. It's at stock. There's no adjustment here, no adjustment here, no adjustment here, and it's at stock. Okay. And run a test or game. Fire up a game and play it, or do some benchmarking. What you're looking for basically the kind of voltages it sees, and you're looking at the frequency. That's the most important thing. You're looking at the frequency. And usually what you want to do is basically you're looking at the peak frequency it hit. And it doesn't have to be the peak. Like, for example, for my card, the peak frequency I've seen was just go above 2,900. But usually it settles at around 2,800. So what I do, like when you do this custom undervolt, the target that you're aiming for, you're not going to hit that. But I mean, that's usually what I do. So if I looked here, I'm going to just bring this. Oh, you know what? I'm going to have to change scenes too. 1 second here. I forgot you're just looking at me. Okay, here we go. So, and let me go back to my benchmarking, because I forgot to change the scene there too. So again, let me just take a look here. Okay. This is my first score, 5090. And this is basically, stock. This is these next two here, again, repeating myself here because you couldn't see it. These are when I'm streaming. I lose 5,000 points because I'm streaming. And the demand for doing streaming alongside benchmarking. These were without streaming. And then these, I kept playing. And then these were, the last two were with my custom undervolt and overclock. So you can see here, it's actually more I actually got it to perform better. It performs better, lower temps, and lower voltage. So I will show you that. So again, what I usually do is run a benchmark and then look at what the voltages you're seeing, and look at basically the frequency that you're hitting, the clocks the card is hitting. So for me, like I said, with my 5090 Vanguard, usually I'd see, and I'll do another test here, and I'll show you. Let's just run a test. How do I do this? I got to go to Steam. So if I go here, I'm at stock now, and we'll just do a comparison. So we go launch, and I have to get things set up here. I'm going to open up HW monitor so we can look at peak temperatures and stuff like that. And I'm going to open up GPU-Z. Okay, what I'll do is I'll just minimize this for now. Okay, and then I'll just go back into here. So what I do is I'll run a benchmark, like I said, and I'll just use regular time spy. And again, because I'm streaming, we should see around 31,000 or something like that. So basically, that's what I'm going to try to target for with my undervolt. So again, if I look at my MSI values right here, you can see here now, I'm going to put my fan curve up. This is stock, okay? This is the stock here. This is my undervolt, I think. Yeah, but we're going to go back to stock. So I'm going to reset it here. It's at stock. Power limit is 100%. No additions here or here. So I'm going to minimize this now, and we're going to do a time spy. And what we're looking for up here is frequency. And also, you can use the tools like GPU-Z and HW monitor to see what frequency your card peaked at. So I will go run. So we'll do a benchmark here first of this, and then we'll play around. Hey Max, what are you doing, girl? Okay, down now. Come on now, Max. I just woke up here. I just woke up from night shifts here. I just getting off work here this morning and just woke up. But now I'm off for 2 or 3 days. I get to check my card out, do some gaming, and just relax. I finished Stalker 2 on my night shift last night and this morning, I should say. So we can see here, I'm looking at the frequency. So I'm seeing she's hovering around 2880, 2870. I'm just keeping an eye on that. I see 2902, so that 2925, that's a peak to me, okay? 2917. So yeah, 2925. 2930 is what I'm seeing so far. And again, we're just looking at frequency. So we can see, again, I keep repeating myself, that the card does peak, Max, please, at about 2920 to 2930, but it usually hovers around 2800, the mid 2800 to the high 2800. So just take that into account. And this is a good representation because we're looking at the GPU utilization there. The GPU is at 100%, and it's around 2880. So that's a good representation there of what the GPU is kind of settling at. You can see there she hit 500 watts. Pure power. Enough to burn a connector. Hopefully not. Max. Yeah, she's pumping out power now. So she peaked at 550 watts at one point. And she peaked at and I'll show you something else after this test. I think one more test after this, and we should be done. Then we'll have a brief discussion, and we'll try an Undervolt. CPU test. And should be hopefully around 31,000. Yeah, so 31,300. And again, I lose about a good 5,000 points because I'm streaming. But in a few days, I will be alleviating all of that pressure from the GPU. That'll go right to my streaming PC, which is going to be nice. But anywho, so just to discuss this, so I'm going to bring over HW monitor and GPU Z, okay? So when I look here, each do the same thing. So I have the sensors here going and stuff like that. So you can see here, the memory temp peaked at about 68. And does that match up with, yes. Okay, so we'll just use HW monitor. But I'll compare this. This is just a reference to say that HW monitor is definitely incorrect because this other program, which is GPU Z, is showing the same stuff. But if I'm looking here, and I've already been watching it closely, but this will also show you, I can see here that basically, where am I at here? So I'm looking here and I see right here, GPU peaked at 550 watts, okay? I have peaked at 63 degrees for the GPU, the memory at 68 degrees, which is fantastic. That's phenomenal. When I look at the GPU voltage here, I can see it went from from 0.995 to 1.095 for a maximum. That's the voltage it puts on the core. And if I look at the frequencies here for speed, I can see the graphics here peaked at 2955. And, but again, sorry, I could see, right now, where's that to? Right here, if I look, this is the GPU clock too. If I see here, like when the GPU was 100%, you can see that basically it kind of hovered around at 2800. So again, when I was looking at this, it was the high 28s to the low to mid 29s. It was always trying to chase that line. So to me, this is not an exact science. 2900 was a good set point. That was a good mark to try to aim for. So now let's bring up MSI. So if I look here, I'm going to bring up the fan curve. And there's many different skins. This is Afterburner, of course. There's many different skins that people use. I use this one, but you can use... Any skin will have all the same features, and that is basically, this is a button here to so that you can have your settings start with Windows. Like, so basically you go under the settings button here, which is right here, and you go under general, and you make sure to click these to start with Windows and start minimize. That's my preference. I like to start it and then start minimize. And I wanted the settings that I applied for my GPU, I don't want to have to reapply those every time I start up my computer. I want it to already be applied. So I say, okay, MSI, start with Windows, start minimize. And then this button here says apply at Windows startup. So whatever settings you got set, it'll apply those settings. Okay, so that's that. Now, to get into the curve, you can go Control F, I think it is. I never do it this way. Yeah, you can go Control F to bring it up, or just go into the curve editor. There's many different skins for the MSI Afterburner, but you're looking for this little bar graph thing. That's usually the symbol for it if it doesn't specifically say curve editor. But if you can't find it, just go Control F. So this is it here. Now, when I'm looking here, right, like I was looking at the voltage right here, I can see I went from like 0.995, which is right here, to 1.095. So about 1 to right here, okay? Now my experience with these cards, so what you can do is this, is basically from 1 to 1.095, you can go in intervals of minusing 0.25 and trying to shoot for that 2900, and you're going to do a bunch of testing and keep working your way down for stability. And basically, the minute you get down to a point that it's unstable, and like say the test crashes or whatever, that's when you know it's that you need to go the next one up. So basically, you could do it this way. You could start at like 1.095. So I'd go, and I would add. So let's just say 1.095, which is, and I'll just go minus 0.25. So we go, or 0.0, sorry. So we'll say, let's just stay here, 1.075. So, because we know we can go back quite a bit. So 1.095 is around here. So I'm going to save right here, 1.075. So if I went 1.075 minus 0.025, or sorry, 1075, which is 1 point, minus 25. Yeah. So we stay here, right? So it peaked at about here. We'll go back to the next one here. And you could do a test there and start, but you're pretty safe to go back. So just minus 0.25, which is here, and start working your way back. And that's what you would do. You'd start working your way back, trying to shoot for 2900, and the minute you get to a value that it crashes and isn't stable, and when I say isn't unstable, you'll know. Like, you'll run 3D Mark, you'll notice that just things are acting weird, that there's glitching and stuff like that, or the program crashes or what have you not. Now, if you're worried about damaging your GPU, don't worry. Like, undervolting, from what I understand, it's basically just not enough power. It's not like overvolting it. But so I don't think there's much risk to damaging. It's just instability. That's all it'll show. But in my experience with undervolting, usually what I do, I start at about 1 to 0.975, and I work my way back. Now, typically, I try to aim for a 0.925. I always have. And I know that I can go back a bit more, but usually if I can get to around these values here, 0.925 to 0.9, and if I can get to here, that's like incredible. Your card's amazing. But usually I try to aim for around here for 0.95 to 0.925. That's what I aim for. And that's just personal preference and the couple of years that I've been doing this with my 5090, 4090, and 3090. So, like my 4090, for example, I think I have it at 0.95 because 0.925 is unstable. But my 5090, I've got it down to I got 0.915 to work, and but I settled at 0.925. But anywho, another thing with the 5090, which is weird, if it's off like 0.05 millivolt. So if I want to target 0.925, it'll settle at 0.92. But we'll leave it at that. So basically, what I'm going to try to target now is 0.925. So if I look here, and there's multiple ways to do this. So if I go 0.925, go all the way up, you see the button. Hold Shift on your keyboard. Then click this point. As you click the point, hold the mouse button. And then drag it up. And as you can see here, I'm dragging it up to 2900. And then if you can't get the exact number, you can release the mouse as you're still holding Shift. And then you can just use the arrows on your keyboard to move it up or move it down by single digits. So like I said, this is not an exact science or anything, but I'm going to target 2900 because I see that it peaked at just above 29, and a lot of the times it was stable at high 28s. So 2900 is a good point for me. So 2900. Now that I have it there, release the Shift, and you got everything released. Now this is the overclock portion. So now what you're saying that for each voltage thing here along the curve, you're asking for more speed. So that's the overclock portion. Now what you want to do is you got to flatten this curve, and that will be the undervolt portion. There's many ways to do this. And basically, I'll show you two ways. So you can, on your keyboard now, hold Shift, and right between the point that you were messing around with, the next point, as you're holding Shift, click and hold the click button, the left mouse button, and then drag to highlight everything like that. And again, I'll just get rid of it again. I'm going to do it again. So hold Shift, left mouse click. See, I didn't get it that time. So hold Shift, left mouse click, and then as you click and hold the button, drag it all the way to the right. Then release everything. Release the Shift button and the mouse button. Then what you can do is grab a point here and then drag it all down. Once you do that, shit. Once you do that, I'm going to have to... Okay, here we go. Let me just move this over here. Okay, here we go. So once you've done that, you come over, you hit the apply button. And there you go. Now it's undervolted. Now it's overclocked and undervolted. And then if you want, you could then basically, you can save that profile if you like. And basically you'd hit this button here, save. And then these highlight. And then you can pick a profile where you want to save it. So let's say I want to do 3. So I'll click here and now it's saved. So you can see here now I have 3 profiles. And that's pretty much how you do it. That's the first way to do it. Now I'm going to delete this. Now I can go like this to reset it, to bring it back to stock. This is that profile. So when, again, reset, I want to bring that profile up, hit the third button, it brings it up, and then I would click apply. Now now it's intact or whatever. It's going to be doing it. And you can tell because you see here where it says core clock. You can see now it says curve. That means that you have a custom curve in place. Now with my setting, it's pretty much the same as that, but I added 1,000 to the memory clock, and I've been doing a bit of testing on that. That's trial and error, and I think you can go up to 2,000, but I settled on 1,000. And so that's the first way. So again, just to recap here. Oh no, let me just go like this. So you grab the volt again. I peaked at 1.095, which is just shy 1,100. I went back one, and then if you wanted to, you from scratch, you just go back by 0.25 and try it with targeting that speed until you get instability. The minute you get instability, you go up 0.25, and that's where it's stable. Me personally, I never pushed it that hard. It's compromise. I just want to get equivalent performance with reducing it by like 100 watts. I don't need to, I could push it more probably, but I just pushed it to a point that I'm happy with. I'm happy with 0.925, and I'm happy with a reduced 100 watts with the same performance. So I left it. So now, and again, I picked that 0.925 from just previously doing this on previous gen cards. So I'm going to show you another way to do it. Same concept with doing it. So I'm going to click the 0.925 again, and I'm going to match that up to click that button, which is right here. So hold Shift, click, and as you click the left mouse button, hold that left mouse button. So you're holding Shift now, and I'm holding the mouse button. Drag it up to 2,900, release the click, and then as I'm still holding Shift, I can get that number down by single digits here with the arrows on my keyboard. So I stop here at 2,900. Okay. Now this is the other way to do it. So now it's overclocked, like I said. Now I need to flatten the curve to undervolt it. So what you can do is hold Shift, and instead of doing everything but the point itself like last time, now I'm going to go hold Shift. I'm going to include this point. So hold Shift, and no, that's too much. See, so I grabbed the other point. So you kind of got to, oh no. Come on. No. Okay, that got it. So now basically, and if you want to get rid of it, if you're release Shift, but you hold Shift and you just click if you want to remove it. Like if I go like this, you can go back to remove it, or you can just, as you're holding Shift, you can remove it like this by just clicking. So you go like this, and if I want to remove it, as I'm holding Shift again, click it and it will remove it. So let's do it again. I want to try to highlight this point, which is my 0.925, and everything to the right. So I hold Shift. That didn't work. Let's just go. It's kind of tricky. I almost had it. That seems, I know. That seems good. So I hold Shift and then click and then drag to the right to highlight everything. Now that you did that, release. Release Shift, release click. I think this will work. I don't usually do it this way. Then you hold Shift again after everything's highlighted. And as you're holding Shift, you hit Enter twice. 1, 2, and it will just automatically flatten the curve. And then it's the same result. And then basically, if you're happy with that, then you basically would you would hit Apply. And if I want to continue, and if you want to save the profile, you hit Save. And then these will highlight to you to say, where do you want to save it? I'm going to pick 3. Okay, so now we got an undervolt and it's applied, and we can tell because right now in the core clock it says curve. So we know that basically there's a custom curve. So now that we've done this, let's run a benchmark and compare. So I'm going to now put this over here. And again, with the 50 series, let's just clean this all up for a sec. I can go like this, and then I'll just minimize this, and I'll just go right here. This is my results stock. So let's run a test again, and then we'll compare. So first off, remember these values, because I'm going to clear this now. So if I look here, we peaked at 1.095, 63, 68 degrees. I'll even do actually, I'm not doing a snap. That's okay. So we peaked at 1.095. I'll just write it down in my notes. 1.095. And we'll say GPU 63, MEM 68, and power was 550 watt. Okay. And now we're going to compare. So I'll then remove this out of the way, and I'll remove this out of the way. So now with our custom fan curve that we just created, which is here, you can see here it's applied with the curve, and this is the curve. I'm going to move that now to my other window that you can't see. We will run that test again. So let's run it again. And I'll show you what I'll read out now and then what, because I got the MSI up on my other screen showing the core voltage. I'll let you know what it is. So we're at 0.935 volts, millivolts now, which is kind of weird because I targeted 0.925. But the 50 series sometimes does that. Whatever I'm grabbing, it'll go very close to right around where I grabbed, either positive or negative. Now we're at oh shit, you know what I forgot to do? I'm going to cancel out of this. The reason being is that I forgot to clear my targets with HW monitor. So let's just do this first, and I'll just run the test again. So first view, we're going to clear our min-max so that we can compare. And now we have our custom fan curve. Everything's applied. And but I had noticed that when I targeted 0.925, it is actually doing 0.935. That's it right there. Okay. Let me see if I can delete this point. No. I'm just wondering here now, because I do want to try to target lower than 0.935. So because I grabbed 0.925 and it went up by 0.01, maybe I should grab this guy here. So let's just try, because I want to try to get that 0.925. So I'm going to go reset. And this is 0.925 here. What's this guy? That's 9.2. Let me try this guy. Hold shift and click, drag up 2900, and then release the click. Go down with the mouse. Okay. Now I'm going to click. This is always tough. And hold shift and then click and hold the mouse button and then drag. all the points to the right. Then grab the point here. Any point. I usually do it this way. If I can grab it. Come on now. Behave. Okay, drag it down. Then apply. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I grabbed 0.925, but GPU settled at 0.3. All right, so now I'm going to try to grab 9.2 and see if it settles around at 9.25. So it's trial and error. So now I want to save that and then put it to 3. And now we have it. So let's try this one. And I'm going to move this over. I'm going to move this over. I'm going to then go under HW monitor one more time. And I want to go clear my min maxes. And let's run the test. And let me just make sure this is up here. This. Okay, I'm going to just close that. Okay, and yeah, we're good. Okay, so let's run it. Okay. I'm looking at my GPU now, like the MSI, and it's at 0.910 millivolt. But again, I'm not that. I'm only at 10%. I'm more concerned about when it goes to when the GPU is at 100%. Okay. So she's settling now at 0.915. That's not bad. So we'll leave it at that. That's actually better than my original Undervolt. And we're looking for stability. So like glitching or artifacting or if the system crash, so far it looks good. And again, you're looking at the frequency, there's not much change. We're still around that mid 2800 that we've seen at stock. See the power there? I notice it's less. Usually we are around an extra 100 watts roughly. Look at the temperatures now. We're not even hitting 50 degrees on the core, on the GPU. Memory's peaking at 56. So we can see here the GPU is at 100% now. The speed is settled at low 2800s, which is normal. It's typical even at stock. But the power usage here has dropped significantly. Around this mark here now, at this test, we'd be around about 100 watts, about 100 more watts. Temperatures have definitely come down significantly. Not, well, quite a bit. We're into 50s here now. We're no longer into 60s. And so we're looking at this test here now. Same thing, typical. We're seeing the GPU is hitting 100%. That's a good thing. Speeds low to mid 2800s. That's typical. Power is definitely dropped about 100 watts, and the temperatures have dropped. This is a high graphic ray tracing test, I think, and like we're only hitting mid 50s. This part of the test here now where it goes into the end, that's always used to be the hottest spot for when I was doing like custom fan curves and stuff. This would be this scene coming up here right now. It would be the scene where I'd see the peak temps. And you can see it here too. It's 56, 57, see? Just if you wonder where. CPU test. All right, so let's compare. Hopefully this works out. I did this the other day with my... So now we're looking at, this is the score. We got 31,100. And if I go compare results online... Okay, so if we look here, basically we can see, so first off, let's compare. So we got to take notes here, and this is where it goes trial and error, how far you want to go with it. Where's my notes? Right here. So for this here, we're looking at, so this test here, we peaked right here, GPU at 0.915 on the core voltage. And GPU temp was 57. So that's 6-degree difference. Memory is 64, which is a 4-degree difference. And power, these are peak values. Power is 428 watts. So you can see the difference here, right? And we only dropped 200 points on the result. Okay, so that's fantastic. Like that's really good, and we're pretty much getting identical. Like this difference here of 31,113 to 31,327. You are not going to see that in a video game. You're like, that is negligible. It'll be the same. But again, you just dropped over 100 watts. Your temps, you dropped add your memory by 4 degrees, which is really good. You dropped 6 degrees on the core with these values. So that is amazing results. But if you wanted to try, and that's what you do, and you keep working your way back. Now, my result, you can put, so what, if you're happy with that, like say you're happy with that, which I would be, I'd be happy with that. Then you can get into looking at your memory clock. And basically what you would do, you have your setting here saved. Basically what I would do is that you could go, like the max you can go is to 2,000. So you could basically, what I did is I just went in the middle, go to 1,000, or you can just click in here and go 1,000, and then go enter, and then apply. And if you want to then save it to a different profile, you can, which I would do. I'd save it to a different profile. And then you just run the test again and see what your numbers are. And if and you're checking for stability, and you're comparing your test result. And basically, that's how you do it. That's pretty much it. Now, with mine, I'm going to go back to mine. Mine is right here. And I'm going to delete this. And to delete, sorry. If you want to, like after, so say if you go like this, I want to save. Then I want to save it right here to profile 4, which is you hit, again, you're already on the profile. Save, hit the save button. They all highlight to say pick your profile. I'm going to say 4. And now it's overwrote it. And then basically, if you want to delete it, you just click the right mouse button. So you click onto it like that, and you go to right mouse button, and it deletes it. Okay, so now I'm going to go back into my profile. My profile here is right here. And basically, it's the same thing, but I think mine hovered around 0.935, but it's pretty much the same curve, though. And I got 1,000 added to the core. So we're going to do one more test, and then we'll leave it at that. So basically, I'm going to reset, go to 2, and go to apply, and then we can confirm that this is we have our overclock undervolt. We have 1,000 added to the clock, and we will. We're going to go view. We're going to go clear min max, and then move this back over, and we're going to run this test again. And again, streaming, you lose quite a bit of points. So again, this is the undervolt that I have currently now is this guy here. It's 36,756. And the stock one is this guy, 36,102. So I was able to get an extra 500, 600 points, which that sounds like a lot, but it really isn't. Like, though, like performance-wise, you're going to see the same thing, like FPS, but it's that's not. Usually, that's not my target. That's not my goal. My goal is to drop temperatures and drop voltage to get similar performance. And even at, like, yes, my score is better right here than stock. But if it was the other way around, and say that this was the stock one and the one down here was my undervolt overclock one, right here, that's the original. Oh, right here, sorry. Because this is my... No, sorry. Jesus. So say this is the stock. It's 36,102. And then this is my custom curve. So say that those numbers were interchanged, and I was actually getting less 500 points or 600 points. Performance-wise, FPS in the game, that's negligible. That's only a couple of FPS, 1 or 2 or 3 FPS. But the temperatures are significant, and the power drop is different. Yes, my curve is higher, but if it was the other way around and it was lower, I'd be happy with that. I would. So now, again, I'm going to... let's go reset again. Reset. This is my curve. It's now in there. I want to apply it, and then I'm going to check it. It's there. And I'm going to, I see 1,000 added to the curve and everything like that. And that's what I settled with. Now let's run this test again and see what we get. Oh, God. Oh, let me just go view clear min max. I think I don't. Mine settles at. There should be very, very minimal difference here with this one because mine settled. I settled at 0.92. The previous test we just did was 0.915, but technically that one is better than mine because this one here is going to probably be just a little bit more voltage, a little bit more power. Yeah, so mine is settling at, mine's at 0.92. So we'll leave that puppy run. as you can see, though, it's pretty much the same frequencies we're hitting, the same clocks. And power. Power is very similar to our last custom curve. And again, I said this a couple times, but just a reminder, when you're doing these tests and you're starting from, like when I said earlier about starting at a certain voltage and working your way by going down in increments of 0.25, you're looking for stability. And usually the first sign of instability is you'll see like artifacting and glitching and stuff like that. And the minute you see that, you know it's not stable. And there's other tests you can do too, like you can go into other testing, like FurMark is another program. I think the 3D Mark has FurMark within it, but you just run that program. That's like a really GPU intensive test that just basically pins your GPU max and just run it for like, you know, however long you want to run it to see if you can see instability issues. For me, I usually, if I can get it stable on 3D Mark, for the most part, it'll be stable on all my games. So, and I just use my computer for gaming, so. So this test will give us our peak. This next test will be our peak temps, power, and core voltage. This is the test that we're concerned with. So the last test we did, we peaked at 428 watts. So now I want to see what we peak at. We're already peaked just then at 428. Should be the same, like we're only talking 0.05 difference. Should be very, very much the same. The only difference really with this test is that I added 1,000 to the memory clock. Don't touch it. Now, we'll do a little comparison, then we'll leave it at that. So you can see it's very much in line. Like if I go compare results online, my results. So you can see it's a little bit higher, but that's because it's probably a little bit more voltage, and it's always, you got to find out what you're good with. A difference of a couple of 100 points, to me anyways, in my limited experience, because I'm no expert, you're not going to notice that in real-time performance in gaming. But, and plus, sorry, I added 1,000 to the memory. So that's a difference there too. But as I can see here, this is stock. This is the first Undervolt, and this is my Undervolt that I've settled with. Now, if we compare again, So this is stock. This is the first one. Now the second one, we're looking at 0.920 volt. And GPU hit a max temps of 57. Again, same thing. Memory was 64. Same thing. And power was 428. So it's the same thing. So to me, when I look here, that works because I'm getting pretty much identical performance, and I've reduced the power usage by quite significantly. Like you can see here, 550 watts, 551 minus 428. I dropped the power by 123 watts. And to me, that's all I want because, like, say, for example, this card peaks at 575 watts and the rating for this cable and connector and all of that stuff is 600 watt. Me dropping that by 123 watts, now my card's going to run at 450 watts. To me, and that's peak. That's like gaming, real-time gaming. You're not like, that's... There'll be some games that will run like that, but a lot of times you won't. Like Stalker 2, I was running it. I finished it this morning, and basically it was running like 300-something watts. So that's good. We're happy with that. Now, last what I'll do, that's pretty much how I did my undervolt overclock. Now, what I'm going to do is just to show you a real-time example here with a heavy demanding game like Star Wars Outlaws. I know I do have Assassin's Creed Shadows, but I'm not touching that yet because AC games are like my favorite, and I'm not on that game yet, and I don't want to get in. Like when I start playing this game, I want to I'm not skipping anything. It's not the purpose of benchmarking. I'm playing this game to immerse myself. But Star Wars Outlaws is a very demanding game too, and so we'll get into that. And we'll compare real-time performance here. Jeez, I've already been streaming for an hour. This is the longest video ever for people if they ever wanted to see how someone does an undervolt. This is more of an analysis of the Vanguard. This game was such a good game, man. I really had a good time with this game. Stalker 2 was a good game, too. I really liked that. But the last 10 hours of the game drove me fucking insane. The game just kept crashing and crashing and crashing. And there's times that they won't let you save so that you can constantly make progress. It was driving me insane. Amazing game. Amazing. Had a really good time with it. But, fuck, the game needs more optimization, man. Like, it's so hard to, like, especially at the end of it, like, it's so hard to immerse yourself when the game is constantly crashing. It ruins it. Okay, so anyways, we're at 4K. Full screen. This is just my personal settings. I use DLSS set to quality and frame gen set to 2x. I'm not using multi-frame gen. Well, I'm not using 3x, 4x multi-frame gen that is locked down to the 50 series. But we're not concerned. We're just concerned with performance, what we're hitting, and temperatures, and comparing that to what the undervolt overclock is. Okay, so let's just pause it here. I'm going to bring over, so you can see here, I got my custom fan card. So now I'm going to hit this and go reset. So now it's stock levels, and now we're going to resume. So as you can see here, we're at like 120 FPS, 500. Let's see what it peaks at. I'm just going to walk around a bit. I want to get a scene that's really demanding, because this game, it peaks at like 550 watts. Let's stay here. We can use that. As you can see there, 530 watts. So you can see here, we peaked at 530 watts, and we're at about 150. Okay. Man, you lose a lot of performance streaming though. Like, I can't get over how much you lose. Like, I was doing this morning when I got off work with my curve and stuff, and like this scene alone, without streaming, dedicated gaming, I'm hitting like 130 plus watt, 130 FPS. A lot of people say like these new NVIDIA cards, you're not going to notice a performance hit, but I do. Maybe it's because I'm streaming at 4K and using AVI encoding, but man, there's a massive performance hit. I can't wait to get my dual PC set up. But anyway, so let me just find another... we're just running it for a little bit, soaking the GPU. So 530 watts, 120. So now let's just pause it. Let's bring up MSI. So it's stock. Let's bring in this. This is my custom fan curve. I'm going to apply it. Then I'm going to check it out. You can go Control F again to bring up the curve, or you can hit the button. I can see here, this is my overclock undervolt. Okay, and I can see, yeah, it's all in place. It was 530 watts at about 120 FPS to a little bit above. So now let's go back into the game. So you can see I shaved 100 watts and I'm getting the same performance. And that's all you want. You're trying to see what's the max performance I can get, what's the same performance that I can achieve, and how much can I lower the power targets by. And you can see here now my temps have dropped and everything. And now, instead of my card running at 530 watts, I'm running at a peak of 430 watts. And that is significant. That's a massive drop. So it's totally worth it. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we will leave it at that. Thanks for watching, if you decide to watch. And hopefully you find this information helpful. And again, I will say, if you're looking at doing that, I am I'm not a veteran at this stuff. I'm just kind of like an amateur. So there's a lot more qualified people on YouTube that go into way more detail than me. But that is basically what I settled with my card, and just wanted to show how much more efficient my 5090 Vanguard operates with my settings applied. And thanks for watching. Have a great day.